And let's bring in Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullin. Your reaction, Senator, to what you've seen out in California in terms of the Democrat response, the lack of response to the rioting, but also the blame the victim, the ICE agents trying to do their job, and the don't lie about what we can all see with our own eyes, but then also what is in that big, beautiful bill and the reason it must get passed in terms of the 10,000 new ICE personnel who will be hired with it. And that's just a small part of what it does for immigration enforcement.
Well, Dagan, that's a lot to unpack, but let's just start with what's happening in L.A., right? What you have is a very weak leadership, and the Democrats now are turning to Republicans are against immigrants. We're not against immigrants. We're not against those Americans that lawfully came into the United States and became citizens or permanent residents of the United States. We're trying to get out this lawless activity that you're seeing for play right now in L.A. And what's interesting is you had the mayor there come out and say, well, I'm not sure they're polling L.A. I would say if you poll L.A., they're probably sick of it, too, because they don't want this illegal activity. They're tired of the way their city has literally fell down the stool. They're tired of the way the governor continues to lead from behind instead of leading from front. And what the president is saying is that I ran on law and order. I want to restore law and order, even to L.A., even to a city that probably didn't support him. I'm willing to do whatever I can to make sure that every American, regardless if you're Republican, Democrat, regardless if you're born in the United States or you immigrated to the United States, but you're here legally, that you can feel safe on your home streets. And we're going to do so even if the governor or the mayor of that city or that state doesn't want to pay attention to you. So we support him, and I think those law-abiding citizens will also support President Trump. When you start talking about one big, beautiful bill, Dagan, we need to pass this because it's not just the 10,000 new ICE agents, but it's also the enforcement that they can, the equipment, the training that they have, and plus we're going to finish building the wall that's going to keep these criminals from just simply walking across dry land and getting into the United States. We're going to build the wall completely to make sure we have a secure border from end to end, from the west to the east.
Okay, Senator, about those Marines headed to Los Angeles, the governor suggesting that they're being mobilized but not necessarily deployed. Trump administration suggesting they're not going to engage with protesters. They're there to protect people and buildings, federal property. Does this mean the Marines will be inside the buildings and there to defend in case the buildings are breached by violent protesters?
No, I think there's a fine line between what you can do with the National Guard and what you can do with active military, especially with the Marines. You have the National Guard that can not necessarily engage, but they can engage a lot different than what Marines could. Marines are going to be basically creating a human shield around these buildings and the private property to keep these rioters and these illegal activities that the governor is refusing to acknowledge. Keep the property safe. It's interesting that President Trump is more worried about the private property rights of Californians than actually the governor is. And so the Marines are going to be there to protect but not engage. You know, the police chief of L.A. said that they're overwhelmed and they need help. Well, the National Guard has been deployed by 200 individuals, and now the Marines are on their way. At some point, President Trump will get this riot under control with or without the support of the governor.
It was on their shoulders and on their heads, Senator, that this got out of control. The police department in L.A. was slow to act on Friday night. And then Newsom and his cohort tried to blame the National Guard's presence for the rioting. That is the upside down world in which these Democrats live, still to this day.
Yeah, Dagan, I think I was slightly briefed on this morning, and the way that I understand it is that the police were willing to react. The mayor wasn't allowing them to react. They were wanting to go forward and assist, but because of the conflict that the mayor has with the Trump administration and the way that the mayor is trying to protect illegal aliens that came into the United States illegally, that are breaking laws each day, she's trying to protect them and the Democrat Party. The police wasn't able, they were being held back, they felt like, and now they're in full force, and they're coordinating with the White House and with this administration because they have no leadership that they're able to coordinate with.
Amazing. Back the blue, but kick
Yes,
the donkeys,
absolutely.
but kick the donkeys where it hurts. Senator Mark Wayne Mullin, thank you, sir.
Dagan, I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome.